Hey, welcome back, everybody. Of course, you know me. My name is Dr. Keith McNally. This is Coach's Corner. I'm going to do my best with this. I am with Malka Newstetter. Please
Yes,
tell me yes.
yes.
And you are a marriage coach, and we're going to talk about all that is and why that's important. I think we all know why that's important because a lot of us, the statistics work against us for those who are married. And so, for those who are willing and wanting a marriage to work, we have to find the way to help them. But this isn't about the couple. This is about the woman. So let's talk about that. Let's have that conversation. Malka, who's your client and why is that important?
My client is a married woman and she wants to be married. She probably wants to be married to the man she's already married to. She liked him enough to marry him in the first place. But by the time they come to me, they've probably been married close to 10 years. Some of my clients have been married for more than 20 years. I actually had a client once who had been married 40 years and had been arguing with her husband most of the time.
Okay, I'm about to say how long of that was peaceful.
Right. And they want to be married, only at some point they look at themselves and they say, where did this go off the rails? Like, what happened to us? How did it become this thing that just like saps all my energy and I feel lonely even though I'm living with another person and I don't feel appreciated or understood or valued. And that whole like ball of feelings, it really hurts. It's a like these women are walking around feeling bad. Like this is the expectations were so high and the current situation is so disappointing that gap, especially when you know that once upon a time we did have a good thing going, very often she just feels like I must have failed or I don't even know. Like, I don't know what went wrong, and I definitely don't know if it can be saved. And there's very often also a lot of resentment. Like the woman says, I don't even know why I'm here. I'm always the one who's trying. I'm always the one who's going to counseling. I've tried everything. He doesn't want to come. Like, are you just going to give me another list of things now that I need to do? Because I'm already putting in all the work and nothing's happening. But I'm here because I'm not ready to give up yet.
Well, can I ask you, you are not in the United States, and so I am. And so is this a cultural thing that you serve spe women of specific cultures, or that doesn't matter? Can you give us a framework?
Yes, most of the women I work with live in Israel, where I live, but most of them are, like me, immigrants from English speaking countries, from the United States, from England, from Australia, from South Africa. And in Israel, all the people who came from English speaking countries tend to be lumped together under the title called Anglos. That's what they call us here,
Okay.
Anglos.
Okay.
So they tend to be Anglo women, native, formerly, formerly living in English speaking countries who immigrated to Israel for a variety of reasons. Um, some of them really feel like they fit in here just fine. Others don't. Some of them are married to men who did not grow up in the same culture as them, either from other Anglo countries, like it could be an American woman married to a British guy or a South African guy or an Australian guy. Some of them are married to native Hebrew speaking Israeli men, sometimes from North African backgrounds, like Moroccan Jews or Yemenite Jews or Iraqis. So there could be cultural differences between the
Okay.
couple that are at the root, but not always.
Okay. And I wanted to clarify that if there were any cultural issues at stake here that may be part of the hurdle. And so I wouldn't call it that to be your situation.
What I think the overarching cultural issue facing us today in most of the Western world is that women, especially, expect their husbands to be everything. He's supposed to be my romantic partner, my best friend, my listening ear, maybe my sort of social worker, job counselor, therapist sometimes, somebody who can see me in every possible situation, listen to me in every possible situation, always love me, never fail me. He's basically always supposed to be the stereotypical hero on a white horse who can handle everything no matter what. Sounds just
And
like you, right?
well, I was about to say I was trying to list, those authors who write those romantic novels. And since that's not my go-to as far as reads are concerned, I can't do it. But you do paint the picture, the hero on the white horse.
Expectations are insane. They're unrealistic. They're impossible. Nobody, no woman, no man of any background or any age, no matter how intelligent, no matter how wealthy, nobody can be everything. Nobody can be all the things all the time, always on top of things, always perfect, always handsome, always compassionate. We're people. We're
Mhm.
human beings, right?
So is that the first thing that you kind of want to crush? Well, that's probably a bad word in your coaching that you want to kind of open up is
One of the things we do focus on is perspective taking. Like I had a client who is doing really wonderful work, for herself with my guidance. And one of the things she said to me the other day, she said, the second time we met, after I had kind of finished filling you in on all the things that are wrong with my husband and, everything that I'm facing and what I need to deal with and all the garbage so you'd understand, so you can help me fix it, right? You asked me a bunch of questions and then you said, tell me something. What do you think it's like for your husband to live with you? And I was so angry. I said to myself, I'm never talking to her again. I'm not coming back. She said, but then I went home and I started to think about it. I said, what is it like to live with me? Like before then, she had never seen herself through his eyes at all. It just wasn't not a question she asked herself. It was all like, what is he not giving me? What is he doing wrong? What am I not getting? And I try to show them that this is not about right or wrong. It's not that I'm right and he's wrong or he's right and I'm wrong. We're two people in a very close relationship and a very delicate relationship. It's like a dance. And if we don't ever allow ourselves or challenge ourselves to see things from the other person's perspective, we can get locked into a very narrow way of seeing things. And we just keep trying the same thing all the time. I tell him again, I tell him again, I ask him again, I ask him again. But what if it's not about right or wrong? What if we're just two very different people and any two people, married or not, men or women or not, we're all different. We have different ideas, we have different values, we have different emotional responses to difficult situations. What if he's not out to get me? What if he's not listening? What if he doesn't not care? What if he just has his own stuff going on, right? What if this is the best that he can do? What about where is grace in a marriage relationship? Compassion. What would happen if when I was angry at my husband, instead of doing, I can't believe you did that again, I went and I sat in a corner, I said, what must be going on for him today that that's the way he's behaving? After all, I'm okay. I'm not some little kid who can't handle it when somebody else maybe slips and says something he doesn't like. I just want to make it really clear, by the way, I work with normal people who have normal problems. I don't deal with people who are psychopaths or abusers or like I'm a coach, I'm not a first responder. People don't come to me because they have emergency situations. You have an emergency, call the police, call a social worker, call welfare. I'm not dealing with those situations. When I
I'll
talk
put the
about
disclaimer in the video.
yeah, like it's important because
Yeah.
I don't want people to think that like if my husband is beating me, God forbid, right, that I should just go in a corner and try to have compassion. Those are not the situations that I'm dealing with. I'm dealing
And
with a guy
and
who's
I don't think there was an assumption, people,
right,
you're dealing with women who really would like to see change.
right.
In
So like
a,
if most of the time he does behave well and it just kind of slipped and he said something unfortunate, then there might be room for me to say, I'm gonna let that slide because that's not really who he is and he didn't mean it.
right.
And I don't need to extract a pound of flesh from him for it either. I could just kind of wait for things to settle down and then say, it was really hard for me that you spoke to me that way. And I'm sure it's not going to happen again. And then move on.
Well, I want to go back a couple of minutes and go back to a section where you said things started great, but at some point there was a pivot, a transition. Things aren't the way they were. And so how do you how does it why does that happen? You know, it's
That's
not
a great
because
question.
expectations change,
That's a
life
great
changes.
question. Yeah. And one of the things that I'll ask a woman is, has it always been like this? Right? Was it like this when you got married? Probably not. right? And then, okay, well, when did it start to change?
Mhm.
What happened? So there might have been a crisis, a health crisis. One of them got sick. Maybe one of their parents got sick. And all of a sudden, one partner was not available to the other in the same way. And then it could become like the insecurity can drive a lot of things. Like, oh, wait, his mother is more important than I am, right? Or his dad, like, well, he married me. Like,
Right.
so they're just his parents kind of thing. It could be that a crisis stirs up a lot of insecurities I didn't even know I had until I had to face them. A financial crisis. One of them lost their job, and all of a sudden they can't afford things that they used to afford. And all of a sudden she feels like, wait, you're not taking care of me the way you used to. Like, this is not, I didn't bargain for this. Like, this is not the kind of life I thought we were going to have.
Mhm.
Very often, surprisingly enough, it happens when they decide to have their first child, right? Moms in Western culture today, their identity as people and as women, their success. Um, Sorry, my internet
No, you're
died.
doing good.
Um, okay, their success can be very tied up in their identity as moms, like how
Right.
their kids behave and how their house looks, and things that they may not have mattered to them as much before suddenly matter them a whole lot once they become a mom, and they expect him to support me in this new image that I have for myself. And he didn't know that was coming. He didn't necessarily sign on for it. And now I have a whole list of demands that I didn't used to have before, you know. And it becomes like, how come you don't help me with? And he's like, it could be like, well, you never asked. Well, you're supposed to understand. Like, a lot of miscommunications start to come up when the kids come, very often because the woman's idea of who she is in the relationship changes, and that's not usually something that they have an explicit, honest conversation about. It's just kind of something that takes her over before she even knows it's happening, and then she finds herself very frustrated trying to balance the old idea of who she used to be, and how her body looks, and her position at her job or in her career, and the new mom thing. um, it's a major, major transition for women, and women in the Western world live without the support that we used to enjoy in traditional societies. Very often you don't have your mom or an aunt or a grandma who's around to provide the kind of support that women used to have in extended families. It
Mhm.
is very challenging, and we're not really always prepared to do it well.
So, as a coach, how do you help a woman deal with those insecurities, frustrations, and the emotions that come with n- wanting to make change? I guess is the best way to put it.
So sometimes we start from the outside, sometimes from the inside, and I'll tell you what that means. From the outside, it might be starting with very simple, practical exercises, like picking one of the most triggering, difficult situations that she faces on an everyday basis, like if it's getting the kids out in the morning or bedtime, and developing specific practices for how to not lose your temper in that particular situation, and practicing that. And that's like the first step towards a larger agenda of emotional regulation and, you know, self confidence and stress management in my life as a person in my various roles. So sometimes it's easiest to start with the practicalities.
Sure.
The inside work, really, though, is helping a woman to get from feeling like deep down inside, I'm a mess. And so I'm looking to all these other things and all these other people to reassure me that I'm okay, like how my kids behave, or how my house looks, or how much money I make, or how I see myself reflected in my husband's eyes. To teaching her that only I truly can develop self-trust and self-respect and self compassion. Nobody else can do that work for me. That's something I need to do on the inside. And the more truly mature and grown up and adult I am with myself, the much more healthy all my relationships can become, because whatever stress it is I face, and I'm going to continue facing stress because that's what life looks like for all of us,
Mhm.
the more prepared I'm going to be not to take it personally. I'm just going to be able to separate and go, oh, that's a thing. That's a job problem. That's a health problem. That's a financial problem. That's a problem with my kids. It's not, oh my God, right? Not everything is all about me. There's a lot of things out there that I need to deal with, but they aren't all going to become a reflection of me, my identity, my self worth. So that's the deepest change. But we don't always necessarily start there, but a successful process will always make meaningful improvement deep inside in that specific thing. Like a woman should leave a coaching process feeling like, I got this. Like I understand now whatever life throws in front of me, I can handle it. Like it won't always be fun. It's not always going to be not always going to feel good, but I'm going to be able to do good in whatever situation I face.
So before this conversation and now, we took a really a full circle. And although I don't think the word has been said, and it might have, accountability, it seems to be the theme here at this point. Women have to step up and being accountable for themselves. Yes.
So you don't have to,
Okay.
but I do believe that that's the route to greater happiness and joy in relationships.
Okay.
Is when I take better care of myself, when I treat myself like a person who I love, a person who I respect, a person who I care about, then I can do that at a much deeper level to anybody else I really care about because I understand what treating a person with true caring really looks like. And as much as that might mean doing nice things, it also means a lot of patience and compassion and respect and grace when things are not going well, because we all need so much of that.
Hmm. So with the limited time we have left, I just want two more questions. One, how can people find you? Where are you in on the web?
I'm at coachmalka.com is my website, and
Okay.
they can find me by searching my name or Coach Malka on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
And then with my last question, give our audience, those who are listening, the women who are listening, empowerment in 30 seconds or less. Empower them today, even if they don't come and, reach out to you, give them something to hold on to so that they know that they can make changes in the right way.
In the long run, love is actions. If you want to have a great life with yourself, with your husband, do good things, right? And it could be giving a smile, it could be making dinner, it could just be not responding when somebody provokes you, but don't just live in your own head. Don't just pay attention to thoughts and feelings, even though those are very important, but also pay attention to how you actually behave. If you take small steps towards behaving better, your life will get better.
Oh, I like that. Malcolm, thank you so much for this conversation. This has been another edition of Coach's Corner. We'll see you next time. Take care.